From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up on AgDay, taking summer camp to a whole new level.
It's fun.
What makes it fun?
You get to make new memories.
And a truce in the trade war with China.
And I think we can go on to do something that truly will be monumental and great for both countries.
But what happens next?
Both sides are going to have to give in order to win.
AgDay, presented by the all-new Chevy Silverado, the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The world's two biggest economies back at the negotiating table in their trade talks. It comes after President Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping met at the G20 summit in Japan. The two sides participating in a bilateral meeting, President Xi saying both countries benefit from cooperation and lose if in a confrontation.
I look forward to working with you. As you know, we've had an excellent relationship, but we want to do something that will even it up with respect to trade. I think it's something that's actually very easy to do. I actually think that we were very close, and then something happened where it slipped a little bit, and now we're getting a little bit closer, but it would be historic if we could do a fair trade deal.
The president tweeting after the meeting saying, quote, "I had a great meeting with President Xi of China yesterday, far better than expected." Now, the president went on to say that he agreed not to increase the tariffs on China while the negotiations continue. The president also tweeting, China has agreed to the, quote, "purchasing large amounts of agricultural product from our great farmers," end quote. But one influential Chinese industry researcher telling Bloomberg the country is unlikely to start buying large amounts of U.S. ag anytime soon. The president also tweeting about a recent poll by our news gathering partners at Farm Journal. The president saying, quote, "The highly respected Farm Journal has just announced my approval rating with our great farmers at 74%. Now, we told you about this last month. The poll survey asking farmers, do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling his job as president? 50% say they strongly approve, while another 24% say they somewhat approve. In 5 surveys over the past year and a half, farmer approval ratings have been statistically the same. The president's aggressive approach on trade rippling across corners of farm country as the 2020 election approaches. I asked our Washington correspondent Jim Wiesmeyer how important it was for President Trump to get an agreement with China before next November.
I don't think the president can get all the farm states that he won in 2016 if this thing lingers into 2020. I will acknowledge some of my sources who say that there are hawks in China that are trying to convince Xi to give Trump enough to just continue to postpone these tariffs and to stretch out these negotiations through his re-election battle. I hope that's not the case.
Wiesmeyer says the China trade deal was about 90% complete before talks broke down in May. His sources are now looking at October as a possible target for an agreement. Meanwhile, farmers continue to wait for details on a new round of trade aid payments. Those are slated to begin in August. USDA officially announcing cover crops will be covered for minimal payments under the plan. Now, the Associated Press is looking into the first round of payments, making a Freedom of Information Act request. It says, despite the $125,000 cap, a Missouri operation hauled in $2.8 million across 3 entities at the same address. $900,000 went to 5 farm businesses and so on. Now, farms interviewed by the Associated Press says USDA rules let farms file claims for multiple family members or other partners who meet the department's definition of being actively engaged in farming. A USDA spokesman says large claims are likely audited to ensure eligibility. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, who has long fought for subsidy limits, he says it's the latest example of how loopholes in federal farm subsidy programs allow large farms to collect far more than the supposed caps on that aid. Now, beyond the trade issues, China continues to struggle with an outbreak of African swine fever. Reuters reporting the toll may be twice as high as previously thought. The article says as many as half of China's breeding pigs have either died from ASF or been slaughtered because of the spreading disease. That's twice as many as officially acknowledged. And that comes from estimates from 4 people who supply large farms. They say the losses aren't just infected pigs, but farmers are sending pigs to market early, especially when the disease is discovered nearby. China's agricultural ministry saying prices could surge by 70% in the coming months as a result of the outbreak. All this news coming as farmers continue to try and get more crops in the ground. USDA now reporting 94% of the corn crop has emerged. That's up 5% from the week before. 56% rated good to excellent. That's the same as last week. Soybeans, they're now 92% planted, 7% better than last week. Usually, they're almost done planting. 54% of the crop rated good to excellent so far, also the same as last week. Farmers getting more days out in their fields, finally. Ohio farmers, for instance, able to work in fields for 4.5 days, where the previous week they didn't even get a full day. USDA also announcing the number of prevent plant claims are climbing, rising from the week prior, saying so far claims could potentially hit $1 billion. USDA representatives also say it's too premature to add up how many prevent plant acres there are total, since some farmers are still planting. Now, the Risk Management Agency released the amount in claims.
As of Monday, today, July 1st, we've paid roughly $151 million in claims related to prevent plant for this crop year. This is up from approximately $112 million from the previous week. And of the $151 million, $146 million are from prevent plant notice of loss claims related to flood and excess moisture. So the large majority of that $151 million as of today are notably from the excess moisture and flooding.
And while some are still planting, others are doing a little harvesting with some help. Meteorologist Cindy Clausen shows us in today's Crop Comment. Cindy.
Well, Clinton, wheat harvest is underway in Oklahoma. Harvest is always an exciting time, especially if it's one of your first. Just look at the excitement in the face of Alan Patterson's daughter. Maisie just couldn't get enough as she watched her dad pull in the wheat crop in Manchester, Oklahoma. So incredibly cute. And it looks like they had some great weather over the weekend to do it as well. All right, let's take a look at that wind speed forecast. The main issues with the winds today are going to be, once again, as you get out into the plains, especially the southern plains, and over into the western parts of the United States. A little bit over into the Corn Belt as well. In the overnight hours, most things slacken off, but then as we head into Wednesday, kind of the same areas as you get into the southern and central plains and into the southwestern United States. I'll have your national forecast coming up.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
All right, up next, a look at the lean hog market and the potential for big price moves in the coming months due to African swine fever. And later, remember summer camp? Well, this camp is taking the hands-on experience to a whole new level.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
Grains dropping again on Monday, with many traders still uncertain about how many acres of corn were really planted following historic flooding in the Midwest over the spring, and USDA announcing it would conduct one of its largest ever resurveys. We get the latest from the CME.
Today in the grain market, soybeans fell pretty hard, like double digits there. There's just no resolution to the U.S.-China tariff war. I think we were hoping all weekend that there was going to be something, but there was just lots of rhetoric, but nothing really to write home about. And I think it looks like the rally was a little bit overdone. Also, corn was much lower as well. That USDA bearish surprise really hurt the futures, and it is absolutely sparking follow-through selling right now. And I think that also was pulling those soybeans a little bit lower as well. So everything across the board in the grains was down. Live cattle was steady today. It's a new month and a new quarter, and the market stabilized after that hard sell-off on Friday. Now, if it's any indicator on the feeders, they were much higher, and that USDA grain report is really underpinning the rally here. And as the bearish report on all the grains and everything was lower today across the board on the grains, that gave the feeders a big boost right now.
While the threat of African swine fever continues to sweep across Asia, here at home, lean hog prices have been relatively quiet. Will that change? Tyne Morgan joins us from our studio in Kansas City with today's analysis.
Here now with Arlen Suderman of INTL FC Stone. Arlen, the latest hogs and pigs report is June 1st. USDA says our herd is down 4% from last year, 1% from March. Do you think this shows that expansion is slowing, or does this show that, listen, this hog herd isn't slowing down anytime soon?
Yeah, one of the keys to that report was the pigs per litter was surprisingly large. That's where we're getting our expansion. Breeding herd a little bit smaller than expected. The farrowing intentions were certainly lower than expected. I think that's where the skepticism is in the farrowings. Now, certainly we've seen a lot of de-incentive in the price here of late, but the African swine fever story is still very much alive. The market simply responded too soon to that, encouraged rapid expansion rather than a slower expansion. That demand is still coming, but our producers are very efficient, and they increased production a little too soon, and that demand will come.
Yeah, at ASF, I mean, we talked about it, you know, it's now expanding in Vietnam. I mean, it's not slowing down either. So when you look at how prices had skyrocketed, and then we'd come back down and correct it, and then do you think we have room to now correct to the upside a little bit more? I mean, this is really a roller coaster when you look at the chart.
Yeah, we're expecting, well, we saw in last week's report already that exports are really starting to ramp up. It's about 7,500 metric tons shipped, and that's part of the key. If we do that the rest of the year, then the big purchases made earlier in the year will get shipped, and I think we'll see them go even higher than that, the shipments, and continue to ramp up along with purchases. China's going to need the meat, particularly after they've closed the door to Canada. Whether we, trade deal or not, they're going to need the meat, and that's going to happen.
Yeah, how big of an impact will the Canadian that decision and not buying meat from Canada, how big of an impact do you think that has on us, considering a lot of things can change, but we haven't been in a great spot to ship to China either?
Well, in the short term, it means more hogs coming across the border into the United States. So that increases our supply at a time when we're in a big surplus right now. Longer term, we start getting more of the demand into China, and we start taking care of that. What it does create is some regional differences. Those areas that are exporting to China because they meet the requirements, we still have the strong demand. Other places get the surpluses where they're not exporting to China.
All right, Arlen Suderman, INTL FC Stone, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll take a break here on Ag Day, and then we'll have a check of weather.
Contact Arlen Suderman by email at arlen.suderman@intlfcstone.com. The IBM Watson Decision Platform for Agriculture, helping to feed a hungry world with the power of AI.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Meteorologist Cindy Clausen here. And Cindy, we finally starting to feel like summer through big parts of the country now.
Yeah, it was so cool for a lot of the country for much of the spring, and you had all the flooding, but you're right, it really is feeling like summer. We have a big ridge to thank for that. Let's take a look at the map though and see who can be expecting some rain today. We will continue to see a frontal boundary draped across kind of the northern tier of states and into parts of the plains. That will help be the focus for some scattered showers and thunderstorms. So as we head through the day, we're going to be seeing again a lot of that focus along the front, but we have so much heat and humidity that you can see those afternoon showers and thunderstorms popping up all across the south. It's going to be really steamy out there. Heading into tonight, we'll see a lot of that afternoon activity diminishing, and then we kind of focus near our frontal boundaries in the northern parts of the country. Heading through the day on Wednesday, kind of the same thing. You get those afternoon showers and thunderstorms blossoming in that heat and humidity, and then we'll have more of a focus along our frontal boundaries as well. Take a look at the temperatures, or the precipitation estimate, I should say. This is the past 24 hours, and the heavier rain right along our front from, this is just an estimate, from Minnesota all the way down through parts of South Dakota and into northern Nebraska. And the next 24 hours will be similar, most of it along our front, but you can see some scattered areas where we could see some heavier rain in parts of the southeast and south central United States as well. All right, here are the temperatures. As we head into this afternoon, we're going to see a lot of upper 80s and into the lower 90s. 90s, and that heat because of that dome of high pressure that we're going to be seeing all the way up to the northern United States. The cool temperatures remain in the far northwest and a little bit into the northeast. Look at as we get into the overnight hours, and again, we don't get a lot of relief if you don't have air conditioning. Even 71 in Minneapolis seems cooler, but when you're really humid, it doesn't provide a lot of relief at night. 50s and 60s in the northwest. And then into tomorrow, kind of similar temperatures, maybe a little bit cooler on the north side with some additional clouds and some rain there. But look at the feels like temperature. As we head through the day today, we're going to be more so feeling like mid to upper 90s, even some triple-digit heat index temperatures in parts of the southern United States. All right, as far as that jet stream, that ridge holding strong as we head through the week. It's going to be a trough in the northwest and in the far northeast where we see some cooler temperatures. Otherwise, the heat is on this week as that ridge expands into the southeastern part of Canada, and it looks like those warm temperatures are here to stay for a while. That's your national forecast. Now let's check on the weather where you live. Gazelle, California, mostly sunny for you today with a high of 83 degrees. Lame Deer, Montana, showers and thunderstorms with a high of 81. And Elk Park, North Carolina, mostly sunny but some spotty showers and thunderstorms.
One state is trying to infuse cash into the dairy industry. Hear what's planned next, and later making summer camp a real hands-on experience.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
Minnesota is trying to help keep the dairy industry going in the state. The state legislature passed an $8 million plan. It's called the Minnesota Dairy Assistance Investment and Relief Initiative. The new program is designed for small and medium-sized farmers. To be eligible, farmers have to produce less than 160,000 hundredweight of milk, so it would cover most of Minnesota's dairy farms. It comes after more than 1,100 dairy farms closed in the state between 2012 and 2017. There are now only 3,600 farms that remain. Minnesota is the 7th biggest dairy producer in the U.S. Dairy producers enrolled in the Dairy Margin Coverage Program can expect to start seeing retroactive payments either this week or next week. That's according to USDA Undersecretary Bill Northey. He says the Office of Management and Budget is finalizing some details, but USDA is ready to issue the payments as soon as they get the go-ahead. Signups for the new Safety Net program started last month. In the first 10 days of enrollment, 5,300 producers had signed up. Northey says he expects enrollment to outpace the Margin Protection Program by the time the sign-up period ends in September. We're talking about summer camp, and this camp is definitely one to remember for many kids. We'll take you to the fun next. This summer, more than 5,000 kids will attend a Tennessee 4-H camp. The University of Tennessee Extension operates 3 camps, each offering dozens of cool experiences. Charles Denny shows us clover camping made fun by the most important activity of all, making new friends.
Alphabetically from archery to zip lining and dozens of other activities. 4-H camps are a staple of summer for thousands of Tennessee kids. Here at the Clyde Austin Center in Greenville, kids fill their day on the water, in the water, coming down a 130-foot water slide, and creating things by hand, or touching with their hands, like this friendly snake in the Wildlife Center. Cafeteria-style fun, there's tons of choices.
It's unbelievable the experiences the kids get to have when they come to camp. It's just mind-blowing how much stuff they can get into.
It's fun.
What makes it fun?
You get to make new memories.
4-H camp is a tradition that goes back decades, but it's important to change with the times. Here children experience virtual reality and pick up a little science in the process.
Big thing I hope is that they try new things. More than anything else, I really hope the kids get some experiences they might not have a chance to do anywhere else.
Tennessee 4-H offers camps at 3 locations, Columbia, Crossville, and Greenville. And there's also STEM programming at Lone Oaks Farm in Hardeman County. Each location offers its own unique features, but all share one particular goal, and that's to help kids make new friends. For many children, 4-H camp is their first time away from mom and dad. While there's plenty of adult supervision, it's also a time to learn to be on your own.
The children really do enjoy that they are getting to make their own beds and, you know, get up and get their stuff together and get to the events on time.
4-H Camp 2020 is already in the planning stages. So from basketball to woodworking, kids can find an activity with just about every letter of the alphabet. And that includes an H for head, heart, hands, and health. This is Charles Denny reporting.
And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.